Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we get to preview another weekend of Grade 1 racing. It's non-stop at the moment, but it is the build-up to Christmas, so it's what we might expect. Alongside me, Micheál Deasy and Deadly Donn McClean. How are we, gang? All well?
Good, thanks, Tom. Yeah. Zing some weekend ahead.
Where did Deadly come from? Deadly Donn. Is it a nickname that stuck?
It's not a nickname that I'm aware of.
I
guess it's the alliteration.
Is that what it is?
Must be the alliteration, Tom, yeah. I don't think it's anything to do with past results.
You can be Deadly DC.
Huh. That's usually Deadly Donn. I always get it wrong when Donn is on.
I usually get it wrong as well, though. That's the problem.
Never take on Donn. What we're going to be doing, it's graded racing galore. So we're going to be previewing a couple of grade ones from Sandown, as you do. Graded racing from Aintree, including the feature graded handicap in the form of the Becher, and then a couple of excellent graded races in the form of the John Durkan and the Hilly Way from Punchestown and Cork, respectively. They're coming up on Sunday. So 6 races. We'll give you an outsider as well, and our best bets as ever towards the end of the programme. Shall we kick things off with the feature this weekend, the Grade 1 Tingle Creek? And as it stands at the moment, we know what's lining up. We've got Defi du Searle in there, who heads the betting. Underso is next in. He's around about 5.5 shot. Politolog is 6.0. So Royale is 7.0. But Defi at the top of the betting. We were just having a little chat off air before we came on, and I'm quite happy to have a couple of horses in the form of Politolog and Underso running for me against Defi. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he's a bit short. Like he has probably the best recent form. I thought his win against Politolog at Cheltenham was brilliant, but he's going to be 2.5-ish. You know, close to evens maybe. And you have, like he's taking on like Underso, Politolog, 2 top class horses who are forming this race. And I even think like waiting patiently, dropping down to 2. That's interesting. And good old Arnoa, Henry de Bromhead's horse. The long shot of the race, like one of his best runs last year was at Sandown over course and distance in the Henry VIII again, where he's linked by Dynamite Dollar. So I think there's the only 2 I've ruled out of this are Dallas and So Royale. I think everything else has a great chance.
Rule out So Royale as well, would you?
He's had enough chances now, Tom. He's always running in these races, never wins. Probably going to win this race this weekend because I said that, but I'm just sick of him.
He is dual Grade 2 winner, including at the start of the year. I know what you mean as far as the very top level goes. Donn, what do you think?
I think I took on Politolog and Defi Deasy in the Becher Chase because they weren't 2 milers and they finished first and second. I just think Defi Deasy, look, he's got pace and all, but I think and he may win a Tingle Creek Chase, but I think at a very high level, 2.5 is probably his trip. And I think Connections kind of thought that as well. Definitely last year when they had the opportunity to go to the Arkle and they didn't. In fairness, he went and won the JLT, so it was the right decision. But I just think 2.5 miles is probably his trip. He won the Scilly Isles over 2.5 at this track last February, when Barry Gardy, I thought, was great on him, beating Lost in Translation form that's rock solid since, all that Lost in Translation has done since, albeit over a longer trip. And Politolog, I think the same. I just think 2.5, while he ran a massive race in the Champion Chase last March, I just think 2.5 is his trip. Whereas Underso, 11-year-old though he is, this is his trip. It's his track. It's his ground. You listen to Willie Mullins and Patrick Mullins talking about him. He's as enthusiastic as ever. I know he's 11, right? So and he's nearly 12. It's against him in terms of generally, and also in terms of this race. It's a race that doesn't tend to be won by older horses, but not many older horses go there with a chance. And he's a very unusual older horse. He ran an unbelievable race, I suppose, in this race last year when he was only just beaten by Altior, and even at the final fence, he gave him a bit of a scare. Underso was quick over it, and Altior was slow over it, and I think a repeat of that form will take him very, very close. Look, you have to admire Defi Deasy. He's a very talented horse and he's progressive. I just think, as you were saying, at 2.5, you have to look for reasons why he might not win. And I think the trip might be the thing to undo him. And similarly, Danica probably 2.5 miler waiting patiently, 2.5 miler as well. I just think on the so he's the specialist 2 miler in the race.
You mentioned Altior. I mean, he's going to crop up in a lot of these bits of 2 mile form we're going to talk about going forward. We've had a question in from Hiso. Thanks for this. How far would Altior win this Tingle Creek by? It's interesting, isn't it? In my opinion, I don't know how far he'd win, but you'd make him an odds-on favourite. That is conditioned by the fact he's been beaten over further. Now, if this was his reappearance run, even perhaps he'd be odds-on favourite. With the fact that he's got that defeat, and if they were coming back in trip, the vibes would be different. But I see where the question's coming from. It's a case of we're talking about all these runners without the star 2 mile champion of the last 2 years. As far as you guys are concerned, would he be banging there at the top of the betting?
Oh yeah, he'd be favourite, definitely. But we could get into a whole Altior conversation now. I'm sure we're not going to, but I think it wasn't stamina that beat him the last day. I don't think it was, and I hope they can kick on and go for the King George. And Ruby Walsh made a very good point in Racing TV that he thinks that the fences are slowing Altior down.
Yeah.
He's not having a cut, and therefore he'll probably, stepping out in trip is no harm, and he's shaped over 2 miles for ages now as if he'd be better over further. And I don't think the surname race suggested that he wasn't or wouldn't be better over further. That said, like, he would be favourite here, but he'd probably be a favourite you'd be taking on.
I think he'd win with 4.5 links, same as last year, Tom.
4.5. At least we got actually. I realised that Donn and I hadn't actually answered the question. How far?
I just want to chart 4.5 links.
Well, I think the point I was trying to make was, for all I think he'd win and he'd head the betting, it's not as if this isn't a top quality renewal. You've got one of last year's top novices taking on the horse that won this 3 years ago, the horse that won this 2 years ago, and the horse in Underso, who won it 3 years ago and was second last year. So it's bang up there as far as a renewal goes. We've got a proper Tingle Creek. It's just, it would be even better if Altior was in there.
I went on about this last week about why do they have to stretch out horses' stamina. If he's brilliant at 2 miles, keep him at 2 miles. There's nothing wrong with winning 8 Tingle Creeks and 15 chases, But
no, stop. It's right they did that. We've got to encourage variety, Donn.
Yeah.
Fair play to them for getting out there, trying it over further, proving the handicapper was right in rating Surname a better horse. Fair play.
He's not running tomorrow, so we'll have to just cut that out there now. That's enough Altior.
A good question nonetheless.
Yeah.
Look, just to sum up, do I lay Deafy? If he hits 2.0, I'm going to have to. I have to. To have 2 of the last 3 winners of this running for me, Underso and Politolog, I just think he's too short, and I just wonder if he'll come unstuck, possibly down the back. I thought he was beaten last time before he kept on really strongly.
Yeah, and I think that's the trip. I think he's better over further. And now, look, Underso will probably set a pace. The ground will be soft. That'll help him. Sandown's not as stiff a track as Cheltenham, so that's not a positive. While he's won over at the track, the city odds is over further. So over the railway fences, he might get a wee bit tapped for toe over those 3 fences, and he might come out of the back straight with a little bit to find and Underso, and then it'll just be a case of whether or not he can find it. But yeah, it's fascinating to see how the race is going to develop, because Underso is probably going to lead, and then it's a case of how they fit in behind him and how they stack up, and then for most of Underso's opponents get further than 2 miles, so it'll be a case of how much they'll be able to close on him. But he sees the trip out well, and he loves the ground, so I just think there's a wee chance they won't catch him.
If Underso wins, Donn, the place is going to go absolutely nuts. Dee's final thoughts?
Yeah, I think Underso is a good solid win bet in this, because for everything Dan said, 2 miles is his trip. He would have won last year only for Altior by a good couple of lengths. And I will be having a small little place bet on Arnua as well. Small win bet at a massive price, and you can stick in the lay bet then to get your stake back, and a little place bet then on Arnua as well.
Got to be careful not backing these big prices outright after last week, Dees, after the fighting 5th.
Well, there's no without market here, Tom. This is the dead 8. The dead 8. Brilliant race for each way and place betting. So,
did you back Curtis on that last week?
Yeah.
Without.
Place market with that
over
market. Woohoo! Good. I was screaming for Boover up the running, believe me. There we go. It wasn't to be. Let's kick on to the Henry VIII. This is the 150 over the same course and distance. And we've got another horse right at the top of the betting in the form of Torpillo, around about 3.0. Nuba Negra is 4.0. Somerville Boys similar, 6.0 Grand Sancy. I mean, it's not a big field by any stretch, but it's nice to see a full 8 lining up for this. Go on, Don, kick us off with this. Torpillo, who's won on this card before, he won this time last year. I think it was the Friday last year he won as a 3-year-old. Here he is as a 4-year-old lining up in the Henry VIII. And Nigel likes to get him over fences young, doesn't he?
He does. I think Torpillo's, I thought his run against Keldastan and Soviet Pimpernel was very, very good. He raced on the wrong part of the track for much of the race. He was jumping a wee bit to his left. He kept on taking Daryl Jacob on to the inside of the track. And even at that, he turned for home looking like he was going to go and win it, or at least go close. And he did go close. And he was giving way to Soviet Pimpernel. He was getting a little bit from Keldastan, who probably didn't fully enhance the form next time in the Greatwood Hurdle. But I thought he ran better than the bare form of the run suggests. And then last time at Warwick, he was good. You know, his jumping was good down the back, those 5 fences down the back. No more than Nuba Negra on his penultimate run. Like, same again. He jumped very well. Like those 4 or 5 fences down the back side at Warwick, they take a lot of jumping for a novice or for a debutant, as Nuba Negra and Torpillo were. They're both jumping fences for the first time in public. And again, the form of that race isn't working out that well. Nuba Negra's last race, he beat Ballymoy, who was probably over a trip short of his best 2 miles. He's going to be better over further for all that. He was beaten over further next time at long odds on. Comanche Red, he was beaten next time as well. But just the way that Nuba Negra did it, I just thought his jumping was very, very good. They didn't go a great pace, which didn't help him, because he's a strong travelling horse who will do better with a faster pace, which he should get on Saturday. But I think it's a fascinating race. Somerville Boy in there, Supreme Novices Hurdle winner, Grand Sancy, who ran Fustel Raffles so close to Wincanton last time, going over fences for the first time. Another young horse. So yeah, I think with these novices, it's difficult to weigh them up. I think like Torpillo and Nuba Negra, they're both horses that I wrote down, noted as horses that I wanted to have on side next time, and just maybe at their respective prices, I might be just favouring Nuba Negra.
Dees, where do you stand? I like this. I'm not going to back him. I like what Nuba Negra has done over fences in comparison to what he didn't do over hurdles. He never looked entirely straightforward, but he fits that bill for me much more as a chaser.
Yeah, I like that. He was my selection as well in this. For exactly what Donn said, I just like they have a hard time giving Torpillo a bit of weight. Like it's only a couple of pounds, but still, that could be the difference at the end of it. But I thought Nuba Negra, like at Warwick, he was very good. But I thought it faked him the last time. When he comes into the second last, Harry Skelton just gives him a little kick and he absolutely pings it and just accelerates away from them very easily. He won by 10 lengths in the end. It could have been 50 lengths, I'd say, if he'd pushed him out. He just looked completely different over fences, and I think he'll have a hard time against Torpillo, but at the prices, I think that he's probably the one, because I don't think it'll be soft enough for Somerville Boy. I thought his performance against First Flow was very good. He came from a good bit back and ended up beating him by 4 lengths, but I think he's best in heavy ground. The rest of him, Grand Sancy as well. Like it's interesting that his first chase is going to be over like at the top level. So Paul Nichols must know something there. But I think just watching the videos back of their first race, I thought Nuba Negra was definitely the best jumper. So he'd be the one for me.
I think he's done it before, and he quite often starts these horses off, these novice hurdlers, back in a hurdle. He's had this horse running 2 hurdles, of course, when he fell behind Silver Streak, and then he was second to Fusel Raffles. And they said after Kempton they might go over fences. They give him another one over hurdles, but I don't know, 6.0 for him. I'm just not sure. Perhaps I've got it in my mind that now he's had 2 runs over hurdles, this wasn't the main intention, and yet I know it was. So I'm confusing myself almost. But the one I like is Esprit du Large, who we went down to see Evan Williams on Racing TV yesterday, and that's not the sole reason, but I sort of wanted confirmation the horse was definitely going for this. And at double figures, I'm very happy to have him on side. I thought really caught the eye in some of his novice hurdle form, in particular behind Mr. Fisher last year. He was, I just think the heat of the handicap at Aintree, where I did have a little bit on him, when he was beaten, I think that was just all a bit too much. And then I thought he was good enough at Exeter last time. I think he's going to keep on improving. I don't mind, given that the rain has come, that he's back over the sharpest trip here. And I thought he was a bit overlooked. If you look at his bare rating and what he achieved over hurdles, he doesn't have that much to find with the likes of Nuba Negra, even Torpillo for all the 4-year-olds getting weight. So I thought he was the one that was overpriced for me. Esprit du Large for Evan Williams. He's having a good season as well. Any other business on this, chaps?
No, John Fancy, like he's the highest rated. Sorry, Somerville Boy is the highest rated horse in the race, but that's going back a little bit from hurdles form. Grand Fancy, he's got a high rating, and like for all of it, he's to give £6 to Torpedo, so that brings them very close. So yeah, like on ratings, on hurdles ratings, there's not an awful lot. And then it's down to who's going to jump the slickest. And as we know, these fences, the 3 railway fences. I suppose the fact that Nube Negra handled Warwick so well, as Micheál was saying there, that like those 5 fences down the back straight. I don't think he missed one of them. He was very, very good over them, and I think that augurs well for him going over the railway fences.
Let's kick on to that. I mean, it's the hardest race of the day, isn't it? It should be as well, in the form of the Becher Aintree. And we've got a previous winner of this, of course, in the form of Vieux-Lyon Rouge. I remember when Black Lion won it, and I was absolutely convinced he was too short, and then he went and absolutely in. So I'm not, but I do like to have a big price on side personally. Dees, you kick us off with this. It's as big and open a betting market as you might expect. So rather than just read out all the prices, I'll read out the prices of the ones we fancy. Kick us off, Dees.
I just gone for 2. I gone for Vieux-Lyon Rouge.
Hey!
Yeah, we probably all gone for him. We should discuss this beforehand, but like he's like rock solid. I think over the national fence now, since they've lowered him, it's less a test of jumping and more a test of stamina. We need to be able to stay the trip, like. So he has all the course form you want. Pipes are in better form this year. Placing this last year, he's going to be 11.0, 12.0. Happy days. Well, I happen to have to go with that. And the other one I've gone for at a bigger price is Abolitionist for Dr. Richard Newland. I think that he was bought out of Elmarie Holden's yard in Ireland. I think he was bought to be a national horse. He finished 3rd in the Irish Grand National. He moved over to Dr. Richard Newland then. He only ran in 1 chase last year. Kept in 2 handicap hurdles. So even though he's 11, he's here off 142. I think he might have a bit in hand in that. And Charlie Hammond has taken another 3 off. If you can get him at about 25.0, I could see him. He'll definitely stay the trip, I think. Dr. Richard Newland is a genius at lining them up for these big handicaps, and he's had a few winners recently. So I think Abolitionist at about 25.0, small win, small place. Those are my 2.
I was going to point out that you were suggesting that we don't talk about this beforehand, which is a disgrace. We have
We didn't get into this race, Tom. We got the first 2.
I agree. I think Vieux-Lyon Rouge is well worth support given his record in the race. He was second last year. He's a similar sort of weight. He's rated 145 here. I just feel like he's such a solid bet in the win and place market around about 11.0, as you say. I couldn't crab him. The other one for me, who is a big old price, and it's a bit of a hit to nothing in a way, is Like the Sound for Charlie Mann and Harry Bannister. He will stay. The ground will be ideal. Therein, he has had his issues in the past, and I think he had a fibrillating heart I think it was after he won at Taunton, which I know wasn't ideal. It isn't ideal, but he still won. There are question marks, but he's going to be a big old price. He's 26.0 currently, and you could get even bigger on the day. I think this test will really suit him, and I don't mind that he had a prep over hurdles. The winner of the 2 big handicap chases last weekend, the Rehearsal and the Labrix Trophy, had all prepped over hurdles coming into their main target, and I quite like that angle for him. So I thought he was worth a very small bet as well, Like the Sound, but I couldn't crab Vieux-Lyon Rouge. Donn.
Yeah, Abolitionist is interesting, all right. The horse that Micheál mentioned, like he was the Pinot de Rey project, wasn't he, from last year?
Yeah.
And when he won handicap hurdle at Aintree, and I think he was very short in the betting for the Grand National after that. He ended up not running in it. He disappointed.
He had about 40 pounds well in for that range for it. He went off 11 to 8.
Yeah. No, he's a very interesting horse, and obviously he just didn't go the way that Dr. Richard Newell wanted him to go. But he, like I say, he was a great servant for Anne-Marie Holden, who did a fine job with him. So he is interesting, and he could be, he's getting on now, but he could be still a well-handicapped horse. Now, the two that I was kind of looking at were Walk in the Mill. You talk about VIII Rouge. Walk in the Mill beat him last year, and he's only 4 pounds higher than he was last year. I thought he won with a little bit in hand, and his run at Wincanton in the Badger Ales race, he was pulled up in the end, but he was very, very weak in the market, and he actually ran well for a long way. So you can be sure that this race has been their target. So I think all 4 pounds higher, a 9-year-old who's proven over the fences, stays really well. Like, he finished 4th in the Grand National, so he's going to have no problem with stamina, with the ground, loves the track. Cheek pieces for the first time as well. That might just elicit even a wee bit more improvement. I think he's interesting. And Alpha Des Obeaux, if he goes over, or he's gone over now, Richard Johnson rides an awful lot for Gordon Elliott, but he's interesting as well. I actually backed him in the Grand National a couple of years ago when Rachel Blackmore got a mother and father of a fall off him at the chair. But he was travelling well then. He was jumping the fence as well. And, he's had some very good runs. Like, he finished 2nd in the Thaïs Chase last year off a mark of 155 to invitation only. That was a big run. And even on his debut his 2nd run this season in the Champion Chase at Down Royal, he ran well for a long way. I know he was pretty well beaten in the end by Road to Respect, but he ran well for a long way, and he's got top weight, and 159, you wouldn't have thought there's much in him, but he'll be a big enough price, and he just could run well for a long way.
I backed him in that national.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we went. He was going well, wasn't
he? Yeah. He'd be one of those that this is nothing personal, Don, but I feel he's the one that got away from me a few times. I've never quite got him right. But top weight here, but he's got that class, hasn't he?
See, that's the thing. Like, he's got a lot of weight, and 11-12 on soft ground around entry fences. It's you think of that, and automatically you think Grand National. It's obviously not going to be easy, but it's a Becher Chase. It's not a Grand National, and yeah, he does have the class to carry that type of weight and give that type of weight away. And yeah, I just think there's not a lot in him in terms of handicap ratings, and you'd expect there to be something down the bottom that will be better handicapped than him. But I just think he's an interesting horse going over, and I think he'll run well. I can see him running very, very well, and maybe running into a place.
Micheál Hill is the horse that heads the bet, and we haven't mentioned it because we're going for the horses that we fancy, and we're not going to sit here and run through every horse that's running in the race. But of course, he has an obvious chance around about 8.0. But we're looking elsewhere in the betting, and for those big prices, we didn't quite bring up the VIII Rouge hat-trick, but at least Don went for another previous winner, so there we go, and another big price alongside as well. The Many Clouds Chase falls at 240, and Native River is odds against, lads. Native River is odds against. He is a horse who's won a Gold Cup. He's going to get his ground. His last run here resulted in a course and distance success. The next in the betting is Might Bite. Native River's odds against. What's going on here? Does anybody else think this is madness? This is like, if anybody wants to get stuck into a shorty, then I still think there's value there. Discuss.
I'll go first though. As well as that, he's getting £4 plus off the majority of the field, except for Might Bite and Outlander. Why is that? I don't.
Black Horton's giving him £6.
Yeah, why is that? Do you know?
Definitely Red, although Definitely Red might have another engagement. As we look at it currently, 2.25, and he against Might Bite, will probably look silly now, but goodness me, I think he's a fair play in this.
I think you would have to side with him because there's so much in it, just the weight, and Might Bite was so bad last year, and I love Might Bite. I was all over him for the Gold Cup that he came second to Native River. Like, that was just heartbreaking stuff. I thought he was one of the best horses I'd ever seen after winning the RSA and all the rest. But anyway, Native River is just rock solid, just never runs badly. Getting weight here, everything is in his favour here. So even at that sharp price, I think he's value. And like, you can do you could stick him in a few doubles and trebles there now as well. If you're not one for backing him at a sharp price, stick him in with something else. Like I think he's probably the most rock solid shorty of the day.
Yeah, as long as if you think he's value, and as long as whoever you put him in with that you think is value, then multiply that value. I'll go on, Don. Make a case for Mike Bite.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever made a case for Mike Bite ever. Not once. Not a coherent case. Anyway, the reason he's getting away is because he didn't win last year. It's the conditions of the race obviously suit him. Yeah. So
how do we get Don out of this live? Get rid. It's the truth, Don, but that negativity won't stand. But it's a good point. But he ran better than Mike Bite, didn't he?
Oh yeah, no, like I'm with you. I think he's and the race is going to cut up. Like definitely red, as you say, Tom. He's gone in the Becher Chase, isn't he? Aso's got the option of going in the Peterborough Chase on Sunday instead, and that would probably suit him better. I just don't think he fully stayed the last time over 3 miles, so back to 2.5 would probably suit him better. Although he might be, Aso, he's an interesting horse. He might be worth another chance over 3. Like again, he raced on the slowest part of the track for most of the race, and then he travelled like a most likely winner into the home straight in the Charlie Hall, and then he was just outstayed by Ballyoptic on the ground. So maybe they might give him another try at 3 miles, but I think probably dropping down and trip and ridden aggressively will suit him better.
Can everyone just on that? Nobody's allowed to look at their screen. Who's rated higher, ASO or Native River? Can't look.
Better be Native River.
Who's rated higher?
Better be Native River.
Is it the 167 rated Native River or the 168 rated ASO?
So what did these handicap ratings even mean, Tom? What do they mean? They mean nothing.
That's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
And
well, at least he's getting weight. The lower rated horse is receiving weight, so that's good.
Right, too. Right.
So that means he's 3 pounds well in, so isn't he?
Well, yeah, if you want to read it strictly. Anyway. Look, it's just as it stands currently, and as you say, it may well cut up, but Native River is just the out-and-out most likely winner of this race. And as the market is currently, and I think that will carry on to when we have full declarations, I think he's underestimated in the market. That's where I think we made our feelings quite clear. Anything to add?
I'd like to see Kill the Start line up in this, because I thought his best run last year was over 3 miles, but I'll throw 3 miles at entry, but I don't think he'd be even near these horses' class. I think if he's there at a big price, I might have a small place bet on him, but I'm interested to see him over 3 miles this year. I thought he was very good last year.
Wonder if he'll go. There is an Ascot race he's entered in. He's won there before, so
no. Those the Munir horses are jacked up here and entry at the moment, so I think that's kind of a sign that they mightn't be going there.
One more thing to add: Native River's odds against.
Yeah, we got that. Thanks. He definitely
wasn't sure we had that in.
Just to confirm. Look, he might not be when the final field go, but I think there is a pervading sense of him being underestimated. That's what we're getting across. Right, the Irish action. Let's kick off with the John Durkan, and I'm going to kick off straight away with a question we've had in on this. It's from Mr. Geesley. What can we expect from presenting Percy in the John Durkan Chase? I'm going to come to Don with this because the answer is I don't know. But Don, having defended this horse and his campaign throughout last year and made him a certainty for the Gold Cup, I, like many others, had egg on my face and he was disappointing. So what can we expect, Don?
I think it's great that he's back. There's an excuse for his Gold Cup run. He came back with a bone bruise, and they're not, just speaking to Philip Reynolds yesterday, actually, they're not sure where he got it. It might have been when Kemboy fell in front of him at the first fence. It might have been later on in the race because he left his hind legs in 1 or 2 fences. But he came back sore, and at the time Philip Reynolds was saying they were disappointed. They thought that's just as good as he is. What was all the hype about? But then they discovered this was wrong, and they were obviously delighted to find a reason why he ran so poorly. So he was off with Jerry Kelly, and he was back at Philip Reynolds' own place during the summer, and he's been back since August with Pat Kelly. So I think we can expect, hopefully, the real Presenting Percy to turn up, and we know take his Gold Cup run out, and sure he's an RSA Chase winner, a Galmoy hurdle winner, a Pertemps final winner. Obviously 2.5 miles might be a bit on the sharp side for him, but I always think the John Durkan Chase, it's a stairs race. You know, it's like the Drinmore Chase is only over 2.5 as well, but it tends to be won by the staying novices. And I know Min won it last year, but it's generally the John Durkan. It's generally for the horses who are, you know, early in the season going to step up to 3 miles later in the season. So it's a good race for Presenting Percy back. They've had it on their radar for a little while. The Down Royal race was another option, but Philip was just saying it just came up too soon for him. So he's ready to run, ready to go back. And yeah, it's great that he is. Min obviously sets the standard. He's odds on. And then we're not certain what's going to run. We don't have declarations at the moment. On the So obviously isn't going to run. The Storyteller won at Clonmel yesterday. He's not going to run. Waiting Patiently isn't going to run. So it is going to cut up. They've got Duke de Genève and Real Steel in there as well. Both Willie Mullins, Jared Sullivan. So maybe both of those won't run. So it's going to be interesting to see. But we know Presenting Percy is running. We know Min is running. And yeah, I think it's great to see Presenting Percy back.
And he's sort of a best price 5.0, and Min is flirting with 2.0, but isn't there yet. Deasy, would you back at either one of those at those current prices?
I probably go Presenting Percy over Min. I Min opened up, I think 4.0 for us or something on Monday. It was absolutely smashed off the boards across everywhere really. Like there's no surprise now that he's this price. I thought like Presenting Percy is an unbelievable horse, and he's a bit of a forgotten horse this year just because of one bad run. And he's still only 8. He's plenty of time to improve. Because we don't know who's running, it's very hard to land down on one of this. Like I think 2A per me was interesting enough, as it might be a bit short and trip. But this, I wouldn't chance Presenting Percy first time out, just because I think that they're probably going to take a slow, and they take a slow at him anyway. You know, he was never put out last year until his conditions were completely right. I'd happy not to let him watch him run once, and then maybe start backing him again if he goes well tomorrow. But I think Min is probably the most likely winner. I think Min doesn't get enough credit, because like Min was, you know, second to Altior in his Supreme, one of the best Supremes of all time. He just keeps winning. He wins an awful lot, and when he wins very well. I think that he could be a class above a lot of these horses over the 2.5 miles, but again, very short. Maybe stick him in the double with the River.
I think the thing is, for all we don't know what their starting price is going to be when we got the final field. I think we can expect the disparity between them in the betting that we have at the moment at the likely runner stage to continue on through. And if it stays like it is, I could probably argue that Presenting Percy, yes, was disappointing at the back end of last season in the Gold Cup, but on what he has achieved, he is the one that is too big in the betting. Equally, if Min started to ease, then you could probably argue the case the other way. But as it stands at the moment, I think the former Presenting Percy on he's achieved a very high level throughout his career, barring that one bad run. So I'm half surprised he's the price he is, but I'd counter that by saying that Min achieved, 2 of his 3 runs last year came over this trip on similar sort of ground. And that might just be exactly what he wants. And he was electric at Aintree. I was so impressed with what he did there. So I think it'll be interesting to see how the market develops. But if this disparity between them continues, I'd be in the double P camp personally. Anything else to add?
Yeah, like he does go well fresh. Like he won that good beginner's chase at Galway in his debut last season. He won the Galmoy hurdle, obviously famously on his only run last season before going to the Gold Cup, and that was after a break since the previous Cheltenham Festival. He'd been off for 10 months before that, so I wouldn't worry about his freshness. For all that I know, what you're saying, Micheál, is right. Like they'll probably ease the way into the season and just have a look see here, and 2.5 miles is short of his best. But yeah, I'd say they'd be hoping that he'd run well and just get back on track after disappointing the Gold Cup. Real Steel is the other horse. So Duke de Genève is in the Hilly Way Chase on Sunday as well, so he might go there, and that might mean that Real Steel will come here. Although Willie Mullins did talk about the King George for him. Like he was he was very good the last day at Down Royal. For all that the race was set up for him a bit, Secret Investor went hard up front at McClean. So, but Paul Townend was always very happy on him, and Willie Mullins thinks quite a lot of him. You know, maybe that he can progress again. He's only a young horse, so if he takes his chance, he has to go right-handed as well. So if he takes his chance, then maybe Real Seal could be the one to shake up the top two.
Let's kick on to the Hilly Way, and as you say, we're not certain where we stand at the moment, but I thought it was important to talk about some of these in relation to their division as well. You've got, well, first of all, there's a notable absence in any of these from Chacun Pour Soi, so not quite sure where we stand with that horse. I understand all is okay, but we're not going to see him as soon as perhaps we hope this season. We know that obviously there's a Tingle Creek going on, so others have headed there. But the likes of Soleil Emery and Us and Them, Greatfield hasn't been seen for some time. They're all horses who have got a real chance going forward in this division of, I say dominating it, I don't know. But I think of those, Calais Emery is the one who interests me most. After his win at Naas, Patrick Mullins, I think it was quoted as saying that we'll take baby steps with him because of the setbacks he'd had, but hopefully culminating in a Grade 1 over Christmas. I sort of think this fits in nicely. And I wouldn't be surprised if they see it as the ideal next race for him. And he's a horse who, well, I was on anti-post for the Arkle, didn't work out last year. But depending on what his stable companion, who I've already mentioned, when we next see him, I think he's got a real horse of cementing himself right towards the top of this division. Discuss, Don.
Yeah, agree with all of that. Every single thing you said. He's a lovely horse, and yeah, he probably would have been favoured for the Arkle the way the Arkle panned out if he'd lined up in it. He's unlucky because he won one race. He went to that beginner's chase at Gordon Park on yesterday's day, and he was so impressive in winning it. And it was a really good beginner's chase. And then he had a setback, so he was ruled out for the rest of the season. So he's not a novice anymore, which is he should be. If he hadn't won that race, he'd be on track for an Arkle. He could be in the Henry VIII Chase. But no, he's a very, very classy horse. Like he beat Mellon in the Grade 1 Champion Novices Hurdle at Punchestown a couple of years ago. So he's a horse that I'm looking forward to an awful lot this season. And yeah, as you say, it's a good race for him. Instead of going over and taking on a Tingle Creek Grade 1 horse, it's a Grade 2. It's in Ireland. You can just go and run it. I'm sure the plan is to run him in it, for all that Duke de Geneva's in there as well for the yard. But he will be tested by Ballyushin. Like Ballyushin was electric the last day at Navan. He was just so good in the Fortrea Chase. He'd been beaten a couple of times over hurdles before that, and people were starting to lose faith in him. But he's just so much better over fences than he is over hurdles. He's about 20 pounds higher in the ratings over fences compared to his hurdles rating, and that's justified. He is, he's had enough experience and enough chance now to get his mark. It's not like he's progressing and there's lots more to give in either division. He's such a good jumper of fences. He gained lengths the last day in the Fortrea against A Plus Tard, and Duke de Geneva was behind him, and Hardline as well. So he's going to set a high standard. And if Soleil Emery, as a twice raced chaser, can keep tabs on him or get close to him, then it'll be a fair run by him to do that.
Just to update, I just did a quick bit of research, and as ever, the spieler on Twitter, Matt Toombs, who is he's the go-to man for any vibes or quotes. He says Chacun Pour Soi not among the entries for the Hilly Way at Cork on Sunday. Willie had said the Grade 1 at Leopardstown. This or the Grade 1 at Leopardstown at Christmas were his likely starting point. So this was a possibility, but he may well just go straight there. I wonder, and I think he'd be considered ahead of Calais Emery in the pecking order, but I'm pleased we've seen a bit of the latter so far. Dees, what's your assessment of this race, but also the division as a whole, where we are?
I know that Chacun Pour Soi, he's one good run, or two good runs, I suppose. But in that one I punched down there last year, I think it's a lot to be saying he's ahead of Soleil Emery and the rest of them at the moment. I'd have to see him beat them before I'd say he's the top. He's top notch. He beat a lot of horses that had a hard season in that race. So I kind of disagree there. I think Soleil Emery, like you said, no, I was on him for the Arkle straight away after Goran. Very disappointed he didn't get there. He's a fantastic jumper. I just hope that Greatfield lines up and is there at the second last fence, doesn't fall, and actually gives him a race, because I think that he is one of the best horses that I've seen jumping up in front of the last years. But he just all his falls. He never completes. I think it could be quite heavy in Cork as well on Sunday. I'm in Cork now, but Mallow's about half an hour up the road from us, and there's been little bits of rain every day for the past week. It's actually raining outside there now as well. Mallow can get quite heavy. Everyone knows. I think the heaviest ground ever that they ran on was there. Was it last year or the year before on the Saw? In 2017, they ran this race on the Saw, won it, and then they cancelled the last two races because it was gone very bad.
That's what you get with the Matchbook betting podcast in the horse race. You get local feel. You get
just looking at the road outside here now, it's all wet, and like it was. I don't know when
even the road has gone to good to firm.
Huh?
Even the road has gone to good to firm from firm.
Yeah. Like there'll be a few horses running along the road here as well, and I think Celeste, like he's going to be a sharp price for this. Should win. I hope Great Field gives him a run, but I think Celeste Emery could be like one of the better ones this year for the Champion Chase if he gets them.
It's going to be interesting to see how they bet, isn't it? Because Ballyoshin, like he sets a very high standard, and we know his last run was very good. He's rated in the high 160s. The Celeste Emery,
he's rated higher than Native River, Don.
Sorry,
he's rated higher than Native River.
Yes. He'll be giving Native River away. But yeah, I don't think there'll be that much between them in the betting actually.
I think Ballyoshin might be overpriced because people are going to think that the ground is going to be too soft for him. And they thought that as well the last day. I even think in the Bulger said like he thought it was too soft for him, and that was a brilliant race there at Navan the last day. He's on the go with a while. Yeah, he's a good horse. I'd be interested to see how he goes as well. But I just think that maybe Ballyoshin is kind of coming to the end of the best part of his season. He's a summer horse, and like the last time was the first time he's really won in soft and heavy. Like if Cork soft and heavy is probably going to be different again from Navan, and I would have Celeste a strong favourite for that. And if Great Field is going to be there at 6-point doors, I don't know what way they're going to end up now, but if he's 6-point door, I definitely have to bet them. Great crack. Out jumping and one.
Yeah, he fell at the second fence, and he was odds on for the race last week.
But he took off about half a mile away from the fence. He just
he's one of the most exciting horses to watch over a fence, isn't he?
Yeah, but if he can get past the second fence, obviously. Yeah.
Talking of who we're going to have a bet on, let's do it. Let's chuck out a couple of plays for you each. We're going to have, obviously, the bets coming up in a little while, but we'll do the best long shot first of all. So the best long shot bet, and to facilitate our way into that, it is worth pointing out that you can get a £10 bonus bet with a Matchbook. If you sign up to Matchbook, you need to go to offer.matchbook.com for more details on that. And if you were doing that, Dees, there it is, £10 bonus if your first bet loses, offer.matchbook.com. Dees, who would your £10 be on for a long shot, something that you think's got a real chance at a big old price?
I'd have a crack off Arnoa in the Tingle Creek. I think he's going to be 28.0 plus, maybe, I don't know, whatever price. I'd definitely have a go off him to win and a small bet off him to place. But I think he's definitely overpriced for this race. Arnoa. And Henry de Bramhead is in good form. Good day yesterday, Clanman.
For me, I would go Like the Sound. I think he's a massive old price in the Becher, but I think he's overlooked. Like the Sound for me. For Charlie Mann, Donn, you're long
in the middle in the not quite as long as 28 to 1, but I think 10.0, 12.0. I think that qualifies.
Nothing wrong with it.
I think that's a bit bigger than it should be.
And as far as our out and out best bets go, I can't. I was going to go with Native River, but because I'm not certain exactly how that market is going to form, I might have to go for something at a slightly bigger price. I would. Do you know my best bet is going to be to lay Deafy in the Tingle Creek against Deafy de Searle in the Tingle Creek with Politilog and Underso running for me. Those two in the main. Dees, best bet?
I'm going to go for Nube Negra in the Henry VIII. Yeah, simple.
Like that. Dom?
I was going to go for Nube Negra in the Henry VIII. Do I have to go somewhere else? Add-ons.
It does not matter.
The way he jumped the last time, he's a bigger price than Torpedo. Yeah, I think he can give him the weight.
I wish we had the facility to edit it so that you two just appeared in the same screen. That would be lovely. You could just be next to each other, tipping
We'll
up.
be done together.
Exactly.
I love it, Dan. Just makes things way easier for my weekend.
That's beautiful. Look at you. Just
There we are.
oh no, wrong. No, I love that. Team Nubi Negra on the right.
Go on, the noob.
Good stuff, gang. I'm looking forward to it this weekend very much. Just to tee you up going forward, we've got Deasy, we've got Cheltenham coming your way next weekend. Another meeting at Cheltenham, and then we get stuck into the Christmas action where we're going to be looking ahead to the action on Boxing Day. We'll have another one for the final 2 days at Leopardstown as well, the Saturday, Sunday. It's non-stop Christmas period, isn't it?
That's great, though. It's brilliant. Like, this is the best time of the year. I love November and December on the jumps because it hits top gear. You have a little bit of a break in January, and then it's all right to Cheltenham. Fantastic.
He mentioned Cheltenham already, Donn.
Did he? Was that the first time?
No, I think it's
it's the first time in the last 5 minutes.
We nearly got to the end without it.
Good stuff. So join us over the Christmas period for plenty of pods coming your way. That is it for our preview of the forthcoming weekend, looking ahead to the Tingle Creek in the main. Hope you've enjoyed it. Good luck with all your bets, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.